Okay, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Tiburon Town Council for August 6th, 2025. Lee, would you like to call the roll?
Councilmember Fredericks. Councilmember Nick Farr.
In the flesh.
Councilmember Ryan.
Here.
Vice Mayor Wellner.
Here.
And Mayor Thier.
I'm not even sure at this point. I'm here. So I want to welcome everyone back. This is our first meeting after the break. And I also want to say a very special welcome to our Heritage and Arts Commission. We are having one consent item before the appointment of our new artist laureate. So I'd like to take public comment on the consent calendar. Is there any public comment? Before that, I'll take general public comment on items not appearing on the agenda. Would anyone like to speak? Items not on the agenda? Please.
Hey there. Thank you, Mayor and council members. So I'm Jane Gould, and I'm your appointment on the Council on Aging from Tiburon. I'm very proud to represent the town. I have three very, very quick updates for you this evening. The first one is that the Commission on Aging is looking at its executive board. They have new members, and they're trying to streamline this year and be more responsive to the supervisors that they report to and really take on topics that the supervisors feel are of importance. So that's kind of a work in progress. The second item that I wanted to mention in terms of the Commission on Aging has to do with the fact with the reauthorization bill of July the 4th. And what's happened is that the county has lost about $100,000. It's estimated in funds that would normally go to Medicaid. And also to nutrition for the elderly. And Health and Human Services, which administers this program, is looking at and is kind of confident that they'll be able to find some ways to be able to tap into and help fill that gap. And the third item, which is much more local, you know that I always talk to you about transportation programs. So with the help of Belvedere and with the help of Mill Valley, we're all trying to look at a program that began in Sausalito in 2015 called CARS. It stands for basically a carpool, like a volunteer carpool program. No, I guess it's a volunteer driver program for the elderly and disabled. Sausalito recognized in 2015 that they needed to go east-west in the hills because people couldn't get down. And we sort of have the same problem here in Tiburon. Unless you live within 3/4 of a mile of the 219 bus, you're not eligible for paratransit. So we're just getting this off the ground. We believe that Sausalito has the software that Mill Valley and Belvedere and we could use. And fortunately, we also know that the Marin Villages has some of that software, which I'm sure they would share. And fortunately, Vivalon will kick in too in some way. And I'll know a little bit more about that in mid-August when we have what will be the first meeting with them. So those are the three updates. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Is there any more public comment for matters not on the agenda? Okay, any public comment on the consent calendar? Any online, Lee?
Seeing none.
Okay, is there any council member that would like to pull anything off the consent calendar? Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Okay, if we could have the vote, Lee?
Councilmember Fredericks.
Yes.
Councilmember Nick Farr.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wellner.
Yes.
And Mayor Thier.
Yes. So we are now at action item number 1. That is the appointment of our new artist laureate. And our staff is going to read a staff report, and then they're going to invite Arjun Gupta up to the microphone.
I'll just say a few words before inviting Chair Gupta to the mic. And I apologize, there's a typo in your staff report. The position of artist laureate was created by the council in 2001, not 2021. But the council created this position. It's a council appointed position with the mission to bring a general understanding of appreciation to art of art to the whole community. The laureate works with the commission on all kinds of activities, and they generally complete one fairly significant project during their term. And so tonight, the H&A has come with their selection that a special selection committee has vetted and interviewed, and they're coming with their recommendation for appointment tonight. So I'll pass it on to Chair Gupta.
Thank you. I make sure is that good? Yes. Thank you, Mayor Tier and council members, for the opportunity to make this presentation at tonight's Town Council meeting. I am Arjun Gupta, Chair of the Heritage and Arts Commission. And tonight with me are Victoria Fong, also a commissioner, and Liz Fibush, the new Vice Chair of the Heritage and Arts Commission, and of course, our former artist laureate, Richard Rosen. First, it's my pleasure to thank Richard Rosen for his dedicated service to the town. During his tenure, Richard not only championed, but was the genesis for the public art program here in Tiburon for arts education and continuing outreach programs started by his predecessors and advancing new community-focused projects. His deep commitment to Tiburon was reflected in his work at the Belvedere Tiburon Library and Reed Union School District. He saw the Artist Laureate role as a natural extension of his community service and as a chance to help revitalize the town's approach to the arts. So thank you so much, Richard, for your service. Tonight, the Heritage and Arts Commission is also recommending that the Town Council appoint Tiburon resident and longtime artist Krista Grenewald as the new Artist Laureate. Ms. Grenewald was selected for council consideration by a special committee made up of Mayor Tier, two members of the Heritage Arts Commission, myself, and Vice Chair Jale Etemad, who unfortunately so wanted to be here this evening, but was unable to make it. And I just want to give a shout out to Jale for all the work she's done on the actual Artist Laureate wall, which looks amazing upstairs. And Jale, of course, was also a past Artist Laureate. And of course, Richard Rosen, who's here today. Krista is an artist deeply connected to place, process, and collaboration. She sees this role not only as a chance to share her own creative practice, but also to support other artists, foster intergenerational connections, and build meaningful relationships with the land around us that we call home. Informed by past efforts in public art documentation, she hopes to bring new energy to Tiburon through artist-led, community-involved projects in open spaces. Krista, I'll say, has sent us many, many wonderful, wonderful ideas, too many to count here, but we are excited about bringing some of them to realization in the next several years. She's passionate about serving as creative collaborator and public arts advocate, ensuring that Tiburon's artistic identity continues to grow in conversation with its history, its people, and its environment. The Heritage and Arts Commission recommends the Town Council adopt the resolution to appoint Krista Grenewald as Artist Laureate and authorize the Town Manager to enter into agreement with her. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think at this time, we would like to say a few words. So I just wanted to start off by saying a very big thank you to Richard Rosen for all of your work, not just this last time, but all of the times and everything you've done for the town to enhance the art. I mean, it's been amazing, and I know you're going to keep on doing it. And then I just want to say a few words about Krista, that I was very, very impressed when you interviewed, and I got to tell you, this was not, there were a lot of very qualified, wonderful people who had great ideas that interviewed. And I just want to congratulate you on your selection and say that I can't wait to see what you do. And I think at this time, if there's other comments from the Heritage and Arts, or if you wanted to say something.
Well, you can move to appoint her now, and then I'm happy to say a few more words and let Richard and others come up.
Okay, it might be a little better if they come up now, because
Okay.
once we go into the item, then we just have to do our process with the
Sure.
votes and everything else.
Of course.
Yes.
Well, then at this time, I'd like to invite Richard Rosen and Krista Grenewald to stand. The fun part.
I think we have turkey to roast.
Wow. There we go.
I did. Richard, would you like to say a few words?
Well, I'll just,
Please.
I just like to.
We take our laureates literally.
She looks a lot better in that wreath than I did. I just want to congratulate her on being chosen as the Artist Laureate, and we wish her well on her new journey and all the best.
Oh, please.
Oh, good.
Please.
Thank you so much, Mayor and council members. Okay. As Art Laureate of Tiburon, I envision cultivating a dialogue between creativity, nature, community, through outdoor installations, participatory art, and poetic encounters with the land and water. I will invite all residents to see themselves as part of a living artwork, rooted in place and history and in a shared hope. My practice is grounded in the elements, the rain, fog, ocean, salt, and air, and uses the environment both as collaborator and canvas. I believe that art can act as a bridge, and in this role, I'm hoping to use it to create connection between generations and across the communities here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much and congratulations. Now we are moving to action item 1, which is, wait,
Mayor, if I may, you might just want to make sure there's no other public comment on this item.
yes. Is there other public comment on the item? Okay, action item 1 is consider recommendation by the Heritage and Arts Commission to appoint an artist laureate for a 4-year term and honor the new artist laureate, which we just did. Is there any public comment on this? I think we need to take an official vote. Yes, so we will now have a vote.
You need to move?
Yeah, we need a motion.
I'll move that we adopt the resolution appointing Ms. Grenewald as the new artist laureate of Tiburon.
Second, yeah. Okay.
Councilmember Fredericks,
Yes.
Councilmember Nick Farr,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilner,
Yes.
and Mayor Thier.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay, now we are moving on to action item 2, which is Diversity Inclusion Task Force. Consider recommendation by the DITF that the Diwali event be relocated from Main Street to the Angel Island Ferry. Do we have any public comment on this? Seeing none, I will move that we approve this recommendation.
I actually have some questions. So what exactly is the arrangement with the Angel Island Ferry? Will people have to pay fare to get on it?
No.
Okay, it's on.
Can you repeat?
Pardon? All right, but he told me never to touch it again, so. So let me ask, what is is there any consequence of having this event on the ferry rather than Zelinsky Park or Main Street? Why are we doing this?
It was a request by the event organizer that was heard by the Diversity Task Force and recommended and passed the Diversity Task Force, I think, on a unanimous vote.
But there's no one here to present on their behalf.
That's correct.
Okay.
You did ask, initially you asked a question about if there was going to be a fee, and I think the answer is no. There's not going to be any charge to attend the event. I don't
Yeah.
know if we have all the details as to how they're going to distribute tickets or make tickets available. But my understanding is there's no fee.
So,
Yeah,
so there is might be a consequence where people who want to go cannot.
There will be a limit to the capacity.
Yeah, there would be a capacity limit on the vessel. I don't know what that limit is.
And then how is did the Angel Island Ferry donate this service, or are we paying it out of the budget of the DITF?
It would be, we would be paying for the rental of the vessel.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any more questions? I will move approval of the recommendation by the DITF.
Second.
Okay, could we have a vote, please?
Councilmember Fredericks,
Yes, I have reservations, but it's the first time and I will vote yes.
Councilmember Nickfar,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wellner.
Yes, and I would just add to what Councilmember Frederick said, that this can be our pilot. We can see how it works and then
Yeah.
make other decisions in the future. Okay, go ahead.
And Mayor Thier.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving right along, public hearing number 1, Tiburon Tourism Business Improvement District. Do we have a staff report?
Yes.
Great.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For this item, council is considering a resolution that, if approved, would authorize the continuation of funding for the Tiburon Tourism Business Improvement District for fiscal year 2026. The town formed the district under the Parking and Business Improvement Area Act of 1989, and the act requires the town to annually approve the district's assessments, which again would be 2%, would be a 2% levy on the gross receipts of the 2 hotels located in Tiburon. The town has already taken the first 2 steps in the process for renewal. On June 18th, the District Advisory Board approved its annual report, which included information on the district's past and projected revenues and expenditures and the proposed program for the upcoming year. A copy of that report is attached to your staff report as Exhibit 1. On June 18th, the same day, the Town Council adopted Resolution Number 22, 2025, which is a resolution of intent, declaring its intention to levy and collect assessments within the district and to use those assessments to fund the program. The resolution of intention set these actions for a public hearing tonight, August 6, 2025. The act requires the council to hold this public hearing on the proposed assessments and hear any protests from interested parties. In the absence of a protest from businesses that would pay a majority of the proposed assessments, the council can move forward and adopt the resolution attached to the staff report as Exhibit 2, continuing the district assessments for fiscal year 2026. As of this date, the town has received no protests. I would also note the assessed parties, the town's 2 lodging establishments, have been very supportive of this program throughout the years and are represented on the advisory board. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions? Do we have any public comment? Okay, I move that we approve And adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Okay, let's have a vote.
Councilmember Fredericks,
Yes.
Councilmember Nickvar,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wellner,
Yes.
and Mayor Thier.
Yes. Now we are moving on to public hearing number 2, which is consider adoption of the municipal code amendments to chapter 414 and chapter 16 that would implement regulations and provisions of SB 9. And I think we have a staff report.
First, the staff member giving this report will be Neil Toft, and this is probably the first time many of you have met Neil, or you may have met him in the office if you were here. Neil is acting as the interim director of community development. We're very happy to have him here, and with that, I'll turn it over to Neil.
Well, thank you, Greg. Good evening, Mayor Thier and members of the Town Council. You are here tonight to consider updates to the town's municipal code, specifically in regard to the sections on urban lot splits and the 2-unit development regulations under SB 9. 2 items I'd like to note here is we're here largely, this is in front of you largely so the town is in compliance with the state's updated regulations on SB 9. And 2, this report, I'm new interim, and this report was largely prepared. I have to give a lot of credit to the prior director, Dina Tassini, and the attorney's office. They really did do the lifting here. I'm just kind of trying to bring it home to the council. So the requested action as indicated, and I got to get used to the clicker here. Make sure I'm doing this correctly. So go this way. Other way. That's right. Okay. There we go. A little too far. Okay. The requested action is to consider recommendations from the Planning Commission to repeal and replace sections of our municipal code Title 4, Land Use and Improvements, Chapter 14, which is the subdivision regulations, specifically that regarding urban lot splits, and Chapter 16, the zoning ordinance, specifically a section on 2-unit housing development. In 2021, the state legislature passed SB 9, and it essentially created ministerial review to allow conversion of single-family homes into duplexes, requiring all agencies to adopt regulations to allow that, and also to allow parcels in single-family districts or with single-family uses to be split into 2 lots, allowing up to 4 homes on a residential lot where one exists. The other allowance under SB 9 was permitting 2 units on a new lot as well on one of the lots of the lot split. So essentially 1 lot could be split to allow up to 4 units. The other thing I'd note is the state at that time did allow cities to adopt objective design standards for SB 9 as long as they didn't kind of met the intent of allowing the housing or weren't designed in a way that would preclude meeting the development standards of SB 9. Recently, last year, to be enacted this year, the governor signed State Bill 450, and this essentially amended SB 9 to apply stricter timelines to assure that projects were either approved or denied within 60 days, and any denial must be detailed through a list and detailed list, and the agency is required to prescribe or describe how that application could be remedied. The denial cannot be based on general adverse impacts to the environment. The denial can only be done by the building official based on a finding of significant adverse impacts to health, public health, and safety, and that those impacts would be unmitigable. The bill also prohibited objective design standards, which for two-unit developments, which are not uniformly applied to all other development throughout the district. So essentially, the zoning regulations, standards that apply to that current zoning are what you really have to remain, what you're limited to for SB 9 or two-unit development. You can have some objective design standards for lot splits, but they must relate to the development of the parcel itself, not the development on the parcel. The demolition restriction for expansions of dwellings was removed, or how much demolition you could do to then add on. In February of this year, the commission held a public hearing on the matter and did adopt 2 resolutions, one approving the urban lot splits or recommending approval, and the other recommending approval of two-unit development, housing development. In that discussion, the Planning Commission did act to assure that sites that are designated or listed as historic landmarks or located within historic districts are exempt from the urban lot splits and two-unit housing development regulations. So the matter before you tonight, we're recommending that you hold the public hearing and then move to waive first reading and adopt the recommended amendments. We've provided the detailed language for the motion. Should this be passed, we will return for your next meeting on August 20th for second reading of the matter.
Thank you so much for that report.
And with that, any questions?
Yes.
Yes, I do have a question. Do we actually have historic districts here in the town?
I think I might pass that to Greg because
I believe, that's a great question. I believe the downtown may be considered a historic district.
I just remembered some exercise at least a decade ago, and I can't remember the outcome of it to identify.
Yeah,
what-
I'm not sure what level of designation. I mean, I think we consider it a historic district, but I'm not sure what the law considers an appropriate, like, is it, for instance, a state historic district that needs that designation? I don't have the answer for that. And I see Miriam's on the Zoom. I'm not sure if she does or not.
I mean, that's,
I don't know, but I know at the Planning Commission, it was former Director Dina Tassini said that there are no state recognized or state historic districts. That was discussed at the meeting at the Planning Commission.
and so my second question, probably to you, if you don't mind, is that are we allowed under the bills that passed into law to make this kind of exemption, or is this a test?
So that provision about the historic district is actually in SB 9. It's in the government code. So it was just sort of tossed around at the Planning Commission, like, do we remove this because there are no state historic districts? But it's in the government code anyway, so
No, I get it.
it could stay in the ordinance.
HCD will let us know what they think.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any more questions? Okay, seeing none. Any public comment? Is there anyone online?
Seeing none.
Okay, so I will move to read by title only and
Second.
carry the motion, then read the title of the draft order. Yeah, okay.
Is that a motion?
That was a motion.
I will second it.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is now ask our attorney to read by title only.
Madam Mayor, I'll read it if that's okay.
Thank you. Yes,
Yep.
you're the attorney today, Lee.
A Town of Tiburon Town Council ordinance for the repeal and replacement of Tiburon Municipal Code Sections 14-3 of Article 4, Chapter 14, Subdivision of Land, and Section 16-77, 2-unit developments of Article 8, Chapter 16, Title 4.
Okay, and we are reading by title only. The title has been read, and now we're going to have a roll call vote on the first reading, and we're waiving any additional readings for the ordinance. So why don't we have the vote?
Councilmember Fredericks.
Yes.
Councilmember Nick Farr.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wellner.
Yes.
And Mayor Thier.
Yes. Okay, we are now moving on to public hearing number 3, which is consider adoption of municipal code amendments to Tiburon Code, Municipal Code Chapter 13 to adopt the updated building code amendments promoting electrification. And I did want to say welcome to Neil. Thank you. Okay, is there a staff report on this one?
Okay, let me just open up by saying we are here tonight to consider amendments to the Tiburon building regulations for updated green building and vehicle electrification for both new and, under certain circumstances, remodeled buildings. And one thing I'd like to emphasize, we are here under a bit of an issue of urgency to finalize these updates in advance of an October 1st deadline that was recently imposed by the state under AB 130. And that's outlined in the staff report. But I would like to, at this point, introduce our sustainability coordinator, Grace Ledwith, who has been the lead on this matter. She has been working furiously with the building official and the attorney's office to prepare these updates and best achieve compliance with our the town's general plan and climate action plan. So with that, I'll hand it over to Grace.
Thank you, Neil, and thank you, Mayor and council members. So there is a staff report to answer Mayor's question. I'm going to go through these slides. This is somewhat technical, and so I would like to wait to answer any questions at the end, just because from my experience, one question will often lead to more questions. So as Neil said, we're kind of here in a time crunch. Some of you might know about AB 306, which was adopted into the state budget trailer bill, AB 130 now, which puts a limit on our ability to adopt code updates, our amendments, until 2031, unless 2 exceptions are applied, which are outlined, exception C1 and exception C5. So exception C1 is timing. So previously adopted local ordinances in effect on or before September 30th of this year, which is coming up very quickly. And then exception C5, which is proposed changes are necessary to align with the general plan established on or before June 10th of 2025. And we'll get into a bit more detail on how we're using those in later slides. But for this proposed ordinance, this is going to look like a similar ordinance you might have seen in 2023. So this is, we are repealing and redlining a bit of ordinance 602. So this proposed ordinance in the staff report attaches Exhibit 1. We're repealing the unenforceable restrictions from the CRA v. Berkeley Ninth Circuit decision, which made it so that jurisdictions could not legally enforce all electric new construction. So that was part of the original ordinance that council had adopted in 2023, so that is getting redacted. It also readopts the flex path for single-family additions and alterations. However, we're going to lower the threshold from 750 square feet to 500 square feet. In the staff report, you'll see a table broken down of what other local jurisdictions are doing and what their trigger thresholds are if they have a flex path. So this aligns with some other jurisdictions who have adopted maybe a more stringent trigger. Marin County is also looking to do this. They are planning on doing this in November when they bring it to their board. So not as tight as a timeline as we are. They're using the second exception for the general plan to do this. So, but it is their intention to take their 750 square foot trigger and lower that to 500. And it also uses a point-based menu of energy upgrades. So you also see that in the ordinance, there's a big table, and I believe it's in one of the slides coming up. And essentially, it is a menu of options, and property owners, contractors, they can work together to pick the option that works best for the project. And it also adds, this proposed ordinance adds some EV readiness requirements that are triggered by service panel upgrades. So that was specifically included for single-family residences. So we have it written out right now that for new construction of single-family residences, there's these EV readiness measures that will be taken. We're adding language that will also apply for any existing building that is upgrading the service panel, which is fairly common to add in this sort of REACH code. We're also repealing a lot of the redundant requirements. So this is a little, it seems conflicting on paper, but in practice, what's happening is we have this 2025 update coming down, and we are going forward with Cal Green Tier 1 as we've done in the past. Cal Green Tier 1 is incredibly stringent for 2025. These standards are really high, and they're much higher than the original EV REACH code that was brought to council in 2023. You'll see that, I believe it's in Exhibit 3. There's a table broken down on how all of that works. It's quite technical, but I'm happy to answer any questions on the specifics of that. And then, of course, this aligns with our the town's goals and our CAP. Buildings and transportation are a huge source of our community emissions, so it's important for us to move forward with these codes that will address them. And there's also exemptions for low-income residents for certain project types to allow for more flexibility, so it's not prescribed across the board. And we can also help as staff in the city by promoting incentives and rebates for both property owners and contractors doing this work. So this is what the flex path for single family alterations, additions, 500 square feet or more would look like. If you look at it, you'll see that there's a target score of 6. So essentially, a project will look at this menu and say, okay, I'm going to, do some attic insulation and new ceiling for my ducts, and among some other measures, and I'll hit that number 6 score. A very common project that we're going to keep seeing is this heat pump water heater, or even, heat pump air conditioner. And if you see the point scores for that, it's almost double the requirement that we're asking. So it's really not a huge ask. And a lot of these upgrades for projects of these types for single family homes, they're not super they're pretty cost effective, and there's on-bill savings over time. And that's particularly true for these energy measures, which are on that second bold. There's a little bit less of that, I'd say, for appliance replacement, but again, this is something that we're going to see a lot of projects moving forward with, not only because it's better for the environment, more cost effective, contractors are promoting it, but also there's this ongoing legislation through the Air Resources District and is it Air Resources District? No, it's the Air Quality Management District. So many of these acronyms. They are banning the sale of a lot of these appliances in the coming years. So we're going to see more of these projects doing this, regardless of this REACH code. And the target score is based off our climate zone. We're in climate zone 3. And a little bit of extra context, it's also based off of building vintages. So this is only applying to building vintages, I believe, 2011 and after. Before, I think. Yeah, before. So any newer buildings wouldn't be required to do this because were built more recently. Ideally, would have a lot of these measures already installed. Oh, and that last point, no energy modeling required. That's noted because the old prescriptive / performance measures that we would implement for Cal Green Tier 1, they're a little more confusing. So you'd have to work through this software to energy model to ensure that you're meeting requirements based off of the Cal Green tiers. This doesn't do that. It's simply a checklist. You hit the score or you don't. This is now, I'm going to get into EV infrastructure, which is separate from the flex path. So this is all to ensure that we as the town have the highest standards available for EV readiness. So we're removing the 2023 EV infrastructure REACH code, which was based off of the county's model, because of the 2025 code, Title 24, having higher requirements than this existing REACH code. So the key language is the key changes, apologies, is we're removing the old language to also reduce confusion. So when implementing the sort of reach code, having different amounts of, different percentage requirements for multifamily projects, or is a single family remodel supposed to have EV readiness or not? We're trying to make it as clear as possible, yes or no. And specifically adding that new trigger for service panel upgrades in single family and multifamily will require EV readiness using the Tier 1 standards. So this ensures that retrofitting projects are meeting these requirements and it's not only applying to new construction. So for next steps, we recommend that the town council proceed with the first reading and public hearing. And if passed for the first reading, we're to schedule this for adoption at the next regular meeting. Also, just to note, we want this to be adopted by the 30th of August, so at the end of the month, to be effective before the September 30th deadline. So we want to add that 30-day buffer so that we're in the clear with all of this, all the mess that this legislation has kind of led us to. And after adoption, the council staff is going to file the ordinance and supporting documents with the California Energy Commission and California Building Standards Commission, CBSC, for approval. So that's required for all reach codes in order for us to legally enforce that the state has to approve. And then also we're going to train our staff, right? This is somewhat confusing and new. We want to ensure that our staff are able to implement it effectively. And then of course conduct outreach not only to residents, but the building community, so contractors, architects, what have you. This is where it gets a little confusing, is that this REACH code is an amendment to the 2022 code. So later in the year, we're going to have to adopt the new 2025 code, which is, I believe, is fully developed and is released at this point. And when we do that, we're going to reapply these REACH codes that we have adopted for 2022 to 2025 using the exception C1, so previously adopted ordinances effective before September 30th. Enforcement is for all of this will begin at the beginning of the year of 2026. So adoption doesn't necessarily mean enforcement. It's going to be in our books, so that way we can apply it for the 2025 cycle and then start implementation on January 1. So I'm happy to answer any questions, talk about anything a little bit more. I know that this is a lot, but very exciting stuff. I know this has been a priority for the town, so happy to move it forward.
Yes, Grace, I want to thank you so much. I worked closely with Grace when this all came down. All of the jurisdictions in Marin County are scrambling to get this passed before the deadline. So at this point, I really do want to thank you. You've done a great amount of work, and we really appreciate it. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Okay, who wants to go first? I'll let you fight it out.
You go, because I've asked enough already.
Okay,
No,
Dawn is first.
I just want to get kind of a conceptual summary from you of what all of these things add up to. And I guess my sense of all of these individual steps together is it's a way of preserving what we've done before and maximizing our kind of green impact given new state legislation.
Correct.
Is that a correct way of summarizing what each of these is
Yeah.
kind of focused on?
For sure. I think that's a really accurate way to summarize it. Given our building stock being primarily single family residences, it's important for us to address emissions from buildings. And with a lot of our projects not being new construction either, it's a lot of the time it's single
Remodels,
family
yeah.
addition alteration. So having this would help not only address emissions, but also would allow us flexibility moving forward, given that this legislation is being so restrictive. And it's for a long period of time. I mean, until June of 2031 would be the next time that we could do something like this, unless we leverage another exception, which could lead to potential legal challenges. So yeah, that's why we're moving forward with it now.
And the hard follow-up question, which I don't expect you to have an answer to, but you might have a kind of a ballpark idea, maybe a directional answer,
Yeah.
is have you thought at all about sort of quantifying the impact of these changes on our reaching our goals? Is this going to speed our reaching our goals, prevent us from slowing down too much in reaching our goals, given what the state is doing? I mean, how is this going to affect the rate of reaching our stated goals in our climate change plan?
Yeah, I think that if it's going to push it further,
Okay.
we
So
have,
this overall will speed up
yeah,
achieving those numbers.
yeah, and it's in line with what the state is doing too, which I think is important. So it's not only in line with what's happening on a local level with Marin County and other jurisdictions, but like I said, these state agencies or local Bay Area agencies are starting to enforce these stronger requirements, specifically for these appliance upgrades. So having this reach code further incentivizes that when it's already being sort of top-down mandated by other agencies. And in terms of quantification, that's something that will take time to like, oh, I can come back to council and definitively say, hey, these numbers have decreased when we have more GHG reporting and, et cetera, after enforcement starts. So something that we as staff are talking about is, once January 1, we start enforcing these policies, how do we track how many projects it's
Right.
affected? What kind of measures are people selecting? It's one of the it's interesting, I'll say, is that this flex path offers variability. Unlike other green codes that we had in the past with Cal Green Tier 1 or even the mandatory state requirements, you can, a lot of the time it's the same. What's happening, the projects are doing the same thing. This is going to be different. Each project's going to be different. There's going to be variability on it depending on what kind of remodel they're doing. Are they doing a bathroom? Are they doing a kitchen? Are they doing all of it? What kind of, project are we talking about? And what appliances are going to be replacing? What kind of pre-wiring are they going to do? But I also think it's important to note that although I don't have exact numbers, I know that a lot of projects are already doing a lot of these things. So it kind of further realigns ourselves with what the community is already taking action on and showing interest in.
Great. Thank you.
Okay,
so-
do we have more?
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead, Alice.
Yeah, so my question is unanswerable too. It's just something that I was thinking about hooking the requirement for EV readiness to some of these projects. My concern would be if it's a small project like doing a service panel upgrade to add an induction cooktop, you might be deferred from doing that if EV readiness costs are excessive relative to the budget you have for the particular project.
Yeah, and what I can say to that is a lot of the times when we're talking about service panel upgrades, it's more than just an induction stove. It's usually it's pre-wiring. Typically, service panel upgrades aren't something that's done unless there's a lot of other energy or electrical work being done on the house. Otherwise, it would be a capacity issue. So it wouldn't necessarily need to upgrade the service panel. You could do other capacity measures where you could, load exchanges or whatnot. And that would be something that's also nice about reach codes is this is a voluntary thing that we are requiring as a town. So it allows us flexibility to work with projects if there's, so one project is really unique and it's having a hard time meeting this requirement, we as staff can kind of work with the project managers or the owner and see what will fit and what's appropriate.
So
So
you have discretion.
yeah, there's some discretion, and that's why there's also exceptions built into this flex path as well. So like, for example, none of this applies to ADUs or JADUs. We're trying to incentivize housing as well, right? This is where this issue gets complicated. We're talking about, having more affordable housing, promoting housing development, but also having more stringent building requirements. How do those conflict with each other? How do they work together? And that's where we as staff come in and offer resources. It's not us just mandating blanketly across the board saying everyone has to do this, deal with it. So sorry. We get to work together a little bit. And a lot of the times, like I said, these projects are already doing these measures. EV readiness is a big one. Particularly though, that language was added for multifamily. Single family EV charging isn't something personally I'm super worried about. We have a lot of folks who do that on their own. We have a huge EV adoption rate, and people that drive EVs and live in single family residences, that's been no issue for them to install EV charging. But for when multifamily developments, right? We have a lot of multifamily existing developments where they might upgrade or they might do some repaving of a lot where we can say, hey, now is the time to do some EV stuff where it makes sense to do.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, any public comments? Okay, so I just had a comment and, you know, I just wanted to say that I'm very excited about this. This is moving us further towards our climate action goals as expressed in our climate action plan. You know, building related emissions make up 41% of the town's annual greenhouse gas emissions. And whatever we can do to help reduce that and reach our climate goals, I think is great. So I want to thank you again. I would like to move that we, uh-oh, sorry, that we introduce the ordinance and read by title only and waive further readings and schedule this for adoption at the next regular meeting of the town council. I'm going to read the title, A Town of Tiburon Town Council Ordinance for the repeal and replacement of Tiburon Municipal Code Sections 13-4.3.1, 14-4.7.1, 13-4.9.1, and 13-4.11 of Title IV, Chapter 13 of the Tiburon Municipal Code by adopting local amendments to the 2022 California Building Standards Code.
Okay, don't we
Is there
need
a
to move to
second?
read by title only first?
I just did that. I just did it.
But she read it also, so I got confused because this says move to read by title only and then read the title.
Yes, so what the mayor did is our new procedure, which is correct. We wrote out the script for the mayor to move forward with how we introduce an ordinance.
I love it.
Thank you for
And
keeping
I,
us on
I,
our
I
toes.
second it.
Thank you. Okay, let's have a vote.
Councilmember Fredericks,
Yes.
Councilmember Nickfar,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilner,
Yes.
and Mayor Thier.
Yes. Okay, seeing no further business, the meeting is adjourned.